hey, it's we've been here for a couple days, so we're going to try to crash out some quick dialogues, some quick narratives for you. Our first one is about our first full day in New Zealand, and when we left off, we had flown in from Fiji and rented this van and then driven north and gone through the storms because we're in the state of emergency here, and camped in kind of a washed out campground. And that's where we stopped. And we got up in the morning and decided that we wanted some nice breakfast. So
it was still raining. So we went to a local town, to the Two Bird Cafe, and had this fabulous cappuccinos, really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim had a scone,
Mm-hmm.
which was delicious, and I ordered a mussel fritter, and it wasn't as great as I had hoped it would be. So I ate some of that, but the cappuccino was fabulous. Picked up some supplies, and we headed north to the Bay of Islands.
Right. Along the way, Terry, no, you didn't start driving yet. Anyways, we were on our way north and going through rain, and we ended up stopping in a small town for lunch at a sushi place, which was a little strange. But more interesting was when we asked about where the public bathrooms were, because we really needed to use them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went. They said, oh, just a minute down the street. So we walked down the street, and there was this very strange set of buildings. And it turns out to be an art museum to an artist called Hundertwasser. And one of the things that he did was he did the public bathrooms. Do you want to talk about them?
So they're like broken tile bathrooms, and they look sort of like Gaudi, but not quite as colorful. But they're very cool bathrooms. And I wanted to say one more thing about where we ate lunch. Where we ate lunch, it was called a takeaway. There was a big sign that said takeaway. And I've noticed since then that there are all of these places that say takeaway. And when it says takeaway, it really means everything is ready. You go in, you pick something out, they heat it up for you, and you take it away, you take it out. Many of them don't even have a place to sit. I assume some of this was pandemic related, but there's takeaways everywhere that we have been, and it's pretty cool. Jim?
Yeah. And then from there, Terry started to drive. This is her first driving since we've been on the trip, I think. So she got to practice driving on the left, looking right, and she did very well. She did very well.
And it was really challenging because from this little town, they had us going through these side streets to join up with a highway that went north. And these side streets had steep hills. So I did stall a couple times on a hill, but made it to the top eventually. So learning how to work the clutch on this motorhome.
Yeah, and eventually we got to the town of Pahia on the Bay of Islands, and there we drove onto a car ferry that took us over to the town of Russell, also known as the hellhole of the Pacific.
Yes, that's what it used to be.
Right, not anymore.
Mid-1800s.
But it's a very atmospheric little town, and we pulled into a campground what they call a holiday park here. So it's
Mm-hmm.
privately owned, and they have, anyways, they have some cabins that they can rent, and all sorts of different
Mm-hmm.
accommodations for tents and camping vans and so forth. And it is beautifully maintained. It really is.
It is.
Um, anyways, one of the things that greeted us when we arrived was a brown bird called a waka, which appears to be flightless. We haven't seen it fly yet, but it keeps coming around our campsite every morning. It comes by the campsite, and we didn't get pictures this morning. It had very strange behavior this morning, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's funny, there were two of them that appeared to be fighting, so. Or one was chasing the other one, and then they would puff up their feathers.
right.
Pretty cool.
Anyways, it's a really nice campground, and we went into dinner last night and ate at a cafe along the waterfront, and it was, the food looked nice, and I think the calamari was pretty good, and
Are you talking about the Gables?
no,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Right.
our first night
Our first
at the
night.
seaside.
Right. At the seaside.
Yeah, we
Right.
had kind of that fish chowder,
Mm-hmm.
which wasn't very good, and you had fish and chips,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you thought that was
It was okay.
right. I had some duck breast that was pretty good, but anyways, it wasn't a great dinner. It's not the sort of place we'd go back to. Anyways, we walked back up here and turned in for the night. So that was Tuesday in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Love you, folks. Bye.
Bye.